Putin storm in Israel after Netanyahu pokes Ukraine. Putin-Netanyahu ties trigger. New Israel-Ukraine flashpoint. Ukraine envoy summoned for slamming Israel PM publicly. Unacceptable. Israel rebukes. Kyiv over Netanyahu criticism. Diplomatic storm from Israel to Ukraine as Tel Aviv summoned and reprimanded Kyiv's ambassador Evgeny Korniychuk for his criticism of PM Netanyahu's comments on Russian President Putin. Korniychuk had publicly criticized Benjamin Netanyahu for praising his long-standing relationship with Vladimir Putin. It began when Netanyahu addressed the Knesset, boasting of years of direct communication with the Russian president, saying his conversations with Putin helped protect what he called Israel's vital national interests, especially along its northern frontier. Within hours, Kyiv hit back. In an interview, Ambassador Korniychuk urged Netanyahu to take the moral side of history, accusing Russia of waging a brutal war on Ukraine and supporting Iran-backed forces such as Hamas and Hezbollah. And that sharp remark was enough to trigger the diplomatic fight. Israel's foreign ministry called Korniychuk in for a formal rebuke. A senior official told him his comments were entirely unacceptable and outside diplomatic protocol, a rare scolding between two countries already divided over the Russia-Ukraine war. But beneath the reprimand lies a deeper tension. Recent reports and claims by President Zelensky alleging Israel transferred retired U.S.-made Patriot systems to Washington, which then sent them to Ukraine. Israel denies sending any weapons to Kyiv, insisting the systems were simply returned to the U.S. The speculation comes as Netanyahu continues maintaining a direct line with Moscow. Israel and Russia speak regularly, the latest call in mid-November covering Gaza, Iran's nuclear ambitions, and the fragile balance in post-Assad Syria. Netanyahu has even signaled he is open to mediating the war in Ukraine. For Kyiv, however, that relationship cuts too close to the bone. With Ukrainian cities under fire and Russia aligned with Iran's proxies, Israel's warm tone towards Moscow struck a raw nerve, sparking this very public, very unusual diplomatic backlash.
The floor is given to the President of the Russian Federation. Last year, Russia's trade turnover with the 5 Central Asian states exceeded $45 billion. Overall, that's a pretty good result. But I want to draw your attention to something. I always use this example in such cases. Tomorrow, Alexander Grigorievich Lukashenko will take part in our work within the CIS framework. With Belarus alone, our trade turnover exceeds $50 billion. Let me remind you that Belarus has a population of 10 million. Uzbekistan is already close to 40 million. Tajikistan has over 10 million. Kazakhstan, how many now? 17, more than 20 million. Can you imagine? And that's not even mentioning other countries. Just think about what a tremendous resource that is, right? And that means there are good prospects for the development of our relations in the economic sphere. Russia is one of the leading investors in the economies of the region's countries. The total volume of Russian investments amounts to more than $20 billion. I also think that's a bit too little. We are interested in having companies from your countries take a more active part in large-scale Russian development programs in industry, high technology, import substitution, and other areas. All the more so since we see and are pleased to observe the successes your countries have achieved in all the areas I mentioned above. Eurasian logistics projects could be integrated into a single network with modern electronic services and transportation solutions. This would make it possible to multiply the volume of international freight transportation through our shared region. It is important that Russia and the countries of the Central Asian Five adhere to unified or similar approaches to key issues on the regional and global agenda and coordinate their positions in the UN and other multilateral formats. The situation in Afghanistan has traditionally been a focus of attention for all our countries. And Malik Sharipovich has just spoken about this. Unfortunately, terrorist organizations are still trying to use Afghan territory to spread extremist ideology and engage in criminal activities. We see today that the current authorities in Afghanistan are showing a willingness for mutually beneficial cooperation in various fields. This includes cooperation in the fight against terrorism and the drug mafia. Of course, we are ready to support these aspirations. As for the situation in the Middle East, against the backdrop of the humanitarian tragedy and catastrophe in the Gaza Strip, there is an active search for ways to end the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. President Trump put forward well-known initiatives, and as you saw, Russia supported them almost immediately. We see what is happening now. So, yes, according to information from the media and news outlets, a final decision has been reached. We very much hope that these initiatives of the US president will actually be implemented in practice. This initiative was from the very beginning generally positively received both in the Arab and in the broader Islamic world. The main thing is, I repeat once again, that all of this is actually implemented. Let me emphasize, Russia has always maintained and continues to maintain that the problems of the Middle East region can only be solved by political and diplomatic means. And we naturally are ready to support any peaceful efforts aimed at stopping the bloodshed and bringing calm to this region. I think you will agree with me. This was the position even of the Soviet Union, and it has been inherited by all the republics of the former USSR. We believe that the main indispensable condition for long-term stabilization and for resolving all issues related to this difficult problem, the main condition is the creation of an independent Palestinian state. Also, only through diplomacy and negotiations can the situation surrounding the Iranian nuclear program be resolved. There is no reasonable alternative to this. We are in close contact with our Iranian partners and sense their willingness to seek mutually acceptable solutions and to resume constructive cooperation with the IAEA. If you noticed, the Director General of the IAEA was just recently in our country. We had a detailed conversation with him on this topic. He also explicitly pointed out the Iranian side's strong desire to comprehensively resolve all outstanding issues. There are still some remaining technical questions and specific details to be addressed, but once the agreements that have been carefully reached are fully and effectively implemented, all of these collective efforts will undoubtedly contribute significantly to achieving a definitive and lasting final settlement of this very complex and deeply entrenched regional issue. We continue to diligently maintain confidential and discreet contacts with the State of Israel and consistently receive important messages from the Israeli leadership, earnestly asking us to convey to our esteemed Iranian friends that Israel is deeply committed to further settlement activities and is absolutely not interested in any form of direct confrontation or open conflict.